I can't be bothered to figure out how to stop it, and I think it adds a little bit of charm, you know?
A little bit of charm, like a fireside chat.
Exactly.
Do people even light fires in the fireplace anymore?
I mean, I know my family does.
Hmm. But do they like it? But do they?
That's a good question. I mean, if it's real, if not real wood, I say they do, because I know a lot of fireplaces and cookie cutter homes are like gas fireplaces,
Hmm.
and who wants to pay to burn gas that has a weird smell and doesn't look that good?
My brother has a gas fireplace. It looks kind of cool. There's like fake logs in front of it, so it almost looks like a real fire.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't think we've used our fireplace in like 15 years.
Really, my dad does it every winter. We use every excuse to light it up.
Oh, really?
The fireplace, that is.
Well, yeah. We'll do outdoor fires sometimes.
Yeah,
That's nice.
I mean those are more popular naturally.
Gather the people around the neighborhood, make some s'mores,
Yeah.
get piss ass drunk, frolic in the local field. You know,
Normal weekday evening.
that's just a Tuesday for me.
Yeah. You mean every night?
Every Tuesday night.
No, I think you mean every night. Alright, let's send out these live notifications. I think it's actually working for once. Oh, hold on.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah. The result is um live as opposed to just a video. Oh, hey, you got a text. I wonder who that's from.
Could be anybody.
Couldn't have been me.
My Tinder's blowing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
They hear the word audio podcast and they just come flocking.
Yeah. I haven't put. I don't think I'm going to put that on mine.
Ooh, talk more about your alternative electronica.
I wouldn't
You
even.
know I will, baby.
I wouldn't even call this electronica.
I was thinking more of Aphex Twin.
Oh God, that one.
You ever heard of Bouncing Ball? No, is it a good dance song?
So my dad was actually talking to me about that one. We should probably address this at the start of this one. He kept saying like we were complaining about the Bouncing Ball song, and he kept waiting for us to play some of it, and then we never did.
Well, we don't play the music.
Well, I know but we never like we talked about that, but we've never really addressed that at the start of everything, you know.
I guess so.
So I think it'd be worth saying something briefly.
Figured it was like proper form, just like copyright strike.
Yeah. I should also check to see. I don't think we've gotten any comments, but I forgot to check. So I'll do it right now as we start. But we've only been going for about 3 minutes. It's good to give a 5 minute.
A nice window.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we've had a zero minute watch time in the last 28 days, down 99%. Oof.
Hey.
Oof. And no new comment. Oh well.
Ow.
I hope Avocado Pirate heard our stuff in the other one.
I hope he's in a better place.
He's not dead. At least I hope. Sorry,
I hope not.
he, they. I hope they're not dead anyway. That was a very insightful comment.
It was.
Showing how little we truly know about what we're talking about. And yet we waffle on about it for an hour.
For an hour. Welcome to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ready to dive into this?
Sure. We can do some idle chat afterwards. I want to hear how work's been for you.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm gonna chew on this ice real quick. Okay, I'm ready now.
Right,
we should wait the last 7 seconds for it to be actually 5 minutes intro, and then we can launch into it.
Okay, when's that gonna happen?
It happened right now.
Oh well, there we go.
Perfect. All right, let's scene transition. And welcome to the Audio Shop Podcast, week 6.
This is the sixth one, I think.
Yeah, this is 6.
If we're counting Dark Side of the Moon as a two-parter.
It was we did 2 weeks on it, so it was a two-parter.
Yeah, so it makes sense. Yeah, week 6.
Yeah. Well, podcast 6, not
podcast
week 6.
6.
It's been a bit longer than 6 weeks.
We've never skipped a weekend.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
No.
But anyway, this week we're looking at Dragonball Wave by, how would you say this name, Cooper? I think it's Maitro.
I thought it was Maitro.
Maitro? I like that better.
It's from the Netherlands, so I don't know. That sounds more Norwegian.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's an artist from the Netherlands. Self-publicizing, I'd say. I only found him on
indie.
Bandcamp. So, but this album was released in 2015, and it's actually the first of 3 Dragon Ball Wave albums, I found out. So there's another 2 Dragon Ball Wave albums out there.
Yes, I saw that as well. I was checking out his Bandcamp.
And this was actually only his 3rd album released. He's up till 14 albums now. And that's going to come into my review a bit more later. So, but they right now you can go to his website and purchase a slime green vinyl of the album if you feel so inclined.
I do like colored vinyl.
But I was a little bit surprised about that, because I wonder how much it costs to have your own vinyl published.
It's
probably a lot.
A little expensive. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised he went with the green. Do you think he'd go with like the orange because Dragon Ball?
Well, I think he was going for more the color of the dragon, but
and less of the ball.
Yeah,
fair enough.
And that, the cover of the album had a bit of that green tint to it, so I don't know. But yeah, there's not much history. I couldn't really. He doesn't have a Wikipedia, so that kind of killed my main research source. But yeah, he's got a lot of other stuff out there, and this is one of his earlier works. There's not really much else history to say about it.
I mean, he's it's self-published indie, so it's very so not a lot of history there. Just put out into the world. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of in its own kind of vacuum,
like us. So
I guess it does carry some baggage, in the form of it being a very obvious nod to the Dragon Ball series.
Oh, really? I didn't pick up on that. I just thought he came up with Kid Goku and Korin Tower and Chaozu.
No, those are in fact all from a anime/manga called Dragon Ball. You may have heard of it.
Who would have known?
It may be one of the most popular series on the face of this earth.
Really? You think?
Yeah, I would say so.
Huh. I would say it's well known, but I don't know about popular.
Popular for anime.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd say it's probably the number 1.
Yeah, maybe. I would say maybe Z more so than just Dragon Ball, though.
Well, it's the whole series.
Well, this is mostly. Actually, you're right. It's more skewed towards Z. So
it's got Android 18. It counts as Z.
Yeah. Well, the first 6, I would say, are probably just Dragon Ball, but then 7 jumps to Scouters, which weren't introduced until Dragon Ball Z. So.
Yeah. So, but I think it'd be interesting, kind of looking into how each of these songs is kind of influenced by an element of the show Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of an interesting angle to base it off pretty much a piece of media, and then make your music based on that. How certain elements of it influence you.
Yeah, and he uses samples every once in a while, but we'll get to that when we get to the specific songs.
Yeah.
So song number 1 is
Jump right in.
Goku.
Kid Goku.
You want to start it off, Coop?
Yeah, sure thing. So, basically, this one I think it sets the mood very nicely for the album. In case, for those of you not familiar with this kind of wave-type genre, it's a very do-it-yourself, homebrew, electronic sampler-type music. So a lot of synth, a lot of drum loops, and a lot of instrumental samples. You're not going to get a lot of vocals on these type of songs, and if they are, they're usually some sort of distortion or a sample in and of themselves. So it's a very what would be a good way to describe it? It's a very it can be background music at times.
Yeah. This is a very background music album, in my opinion.
Yes, with a lot of repetition, but it plays into that strength, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this kicks it off here with Kid Goku, where it kind of has this the wave element of having a very groovy beat with brass accompaniment.
Mm-hmm. I have that was the first thing that popped out to me was very groovy beat is what I have written down first and foremost. And you say samples, but from when I was listening to it, those trumpets do not sound sampled. And if he don't sound like a drum pad, sometimes you get those drum pads. This sounds like he went out and got trumpet players.
Yeah, so the brass sounds actually really, I guess, live instrumental.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
There's also that further on where it's like the guitar, I think, is pretty clearly sampled.
Yeah.
But that kind of adds to the lo-fi style of the entire album.
Yeah, but for this first one, it sounds like the trumpets were recorded for this, or if not, they were recorded individually for something else, and then he stole it. So
they definitely recorded by someone.
Yeah, but
it's not just a drum pad.
Yeah, it's live trumpets, I'm pretty sure, which is nice. He does do kind of like there's a bit. I say vocals in one ear, but it's like the main melodic line, and it just plays on the left side only.
I noticed that too,
which is a little bit annoying.
You just don't like that in songs at all.
As I listen to it with my better headphones, it doesn't sound good. I don't understand why that was such a. I feel like it was a gimmick, moving back and
noticed
forth.
It, but it didn't really take away from the song. I thought.
Yeah, it does.
It's kind of like it adds to a kind of a unbalance to it that makes it kind of have a little more character, I think.
Yeah, I guess. I'm just saying I just don't enjoy it in general. Like even like if the Beatles or when Electric Light Orchestra does it, I'm not a fan. It's just kind of a gimmick that I'm not a fan of. But it, very repetitive, groovy beat, very strong start to an album.
I think it also establishes this is going to be a theme of this album, where it does the first verse, quote unquote. Then everything will become very muffled, like it's underwater, except for the percussion, which stands out, and then it brings it back.
Yeah, well,
that is a very set pattern.
There's the muffle, and then there's the complete fade out, which I'll rip into later. But
this is done several times on several songs in this album.
Yeah. This song ends way too it's really not a good ending.
It's not an ending. It just kind of stops.
It fades and then just cuts, and the next song there's no open space between the songs. It fades and starts. Cuts while it's still playing, and the next song starts. So there's a wild whiplash of change in styles.
Which is kind of strange since the other songs, at least I was listening to it all for the other songs on this album, where they either have a fade out and then the next song has a fade in, so it's kind of a nice build up, or there's like a decent space, like a decent ending.
Yeah, most of them have
Kid
a bit
Goku's
of black
really
hair.
the only one that has this really just chopped ending.
Yeah, it feels like he accidentally forgot to add in the extra space on the end of the song. Which if it faded out completely, or if it just cut and went to black for like 2 seconds and then the next song came on, that'd be perfect. But in this, it's just like the one beat ends and the next one starts instantly, and it's whiplash.
One of the things I find interesting about the wave genre is the fact that a specific aesthetic that it has is that it's supposed to feel kind of unpolished, where it's got this kind of the edges are kept in. It adds to the style. That's what lo-fi is, right? It's not like high in the sky. It's kind of like this do-it-yourself. It's got the personality quirks in it. Unfortunately, what comes with that is sometimes you can't tell if something's just a mistake or not necessarily playing to its strengths, or whether it's intentionally kept in, like this ending.
Yeah.
But I feel like this one's more of it just stops. He was done with the song.
Yeah, I feel like there's a difference between lo-fi and making a bad song, though.
I wouldn't call Kid Goku a bad song.
No. In no sense am I calling it a bad song, but the ending is one of the worst on the album. Just the ending of the song's fine. It's just the fact that there's no space between this and song 2, Training Day, that just makes it whiplash.
Yeah, I would agree there. I think if I had to guess, it's like this song's made to loop, more or less, right?
Yeah,
So he just chose a point and just like put the cap on it.
yeah. But moving
Luckily, I
into
think it's not a theme that's repeated outside this album.
yeah, or but outside the song rather, yeah.
Yeah, but not the best note to begin the album on with it, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the song's great. It's
The
just
song's great.
the ending of it, it's lackluster. But moving on to song number 2, Training Day, that gets abruptly cut into from Kid Goku. It's really good again. You know, it's got some smooth vocals with some retro synth sound that really play together really nicely. Very relaxing, nice background song. I noticed I've listened to this album about 3 or 4 times now, and this is the time I've enjoyed it the least when I was actually sitting down and analyzing it. You know.
Yeah, this is definitely not like a focus all your attention. This is like the anti The Wall, right?
Yeah. This is something.
All like demand your attention to its story and instrumental. This one's like, hey, do something else. I'm just here.
Yeah, it's very nice noise in the background. You don't notice it repeating. You don't notice the artist putting 6 cotton bags on your head while he walks 10 feet away and plays the music and then comes back over, which seems to be a theme over the course of this entire album, and especially pops up here in Training Day.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that I enjoyed this album more when I was kind of driving and letting my mind wander more than just like sitting down at the computer, like listening to it in my good headphones.
Yeah.
So, but I did like this song. It's kind of got like it's definitely a driving song. It's like you're I got the vibe of like being on the beach, kind of like driving across the shore.
Mm-hmm.
It's got this very futuristic kind of synth vibe to it with the waves kind of coming in and out, the synth kind of rising and following, and there's a very tasty synth solo in the middle of the song.
Yeah.
That gets me every time.
Yeah, it's a very strong, like this, and then, Kid Goku, and then this is a very strong start to the album. And then it kind of drops off when we get to track 3.
Well, yeah. I mean, this one was kind of Kid Goku and Training. They were kind of setting the tone and energy of the majority of the album, I think. And they both, and again, it's kind of like the titles kind of connect back to what they're like referring to, right? Like Kid Goku's got that like kind of friendly, simple nature energy that a kid would have, and Training Day's got this kind of driving percussion, like you're constantly moving forward. Medicine Machine, on the other hand, kind of sounds like what it's describing, which is almost a very laid back, bubbly type sound, like you're in this giant vat, this giant medicine machine type vat.
Yeah. And it's the shortest song on the album at 1:15, which is good because there's really just some drums and then a background tone on the synth every once in a while.
Yeah, it's definitely
not much to comment on here, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a short one. It was there's definitely like some more trap influenced beats I noticed in the background, which was like that really fast percussion. But yeah, it was short and it was sweet. It didn't like it didn't have as much going on, so I do appreciate in this album where obviously if a song doesn't have as many ideas or goes as far, the guy's willing to make it a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate that, not dragging out for too much longer than it should be necessary.
He lets the idea plays its course, and then he goes on to the next one.
Yeah.
Which I think some artists, not all songs need to be 4 minutes long.
Exactly. And I feel like we should briefly mention with your beautiful percussion imitation there, that as much as we would love to play the music, we can't just due to copyright and all that jazz. We don't exactly have on-staff lawyers. And
or any lawyers.
Yeah, and this goes straight onto YouTube, so that would definitely get struck there, but even Twitch is starting to crack down on music being played, so we can't really do anything, sadly.
But luckily, this album itself is on Bandcamp, meaning you can listen to it for free.
It's also on Spotify.
Also on Spotify.
Yeah. Almost everything we do is on, everything we've done so far has been on Spotify, so we should start tweeting the links to these too, to the albums.
That would be a good idea, so we can get a little more exposure to the artist.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Pink Floyd needs it, but this guy might.
Finally, we're relevant again. Says Pink Floyd to no one.
Yeah. So going into track 4, Corin Tower.
Corin Tower.
This has the first bit of sampling from actually the Dragon Ball series. And if there's 2 things I love, it's background sounds in songs and Dragon Ball sound effects. So marrying the 2 is awesome.
The perfect song.
I
also very much like this song. I didn't really pick up what the sound effects were from specifically. They were just kind of more like a kind of added playfulness to the background. Yeah. There's like some bells. There's like a whistling kind of whistle and some cowbell as well. Kind of adds to this really playful feel of a song.
Yeah, I will say I do like the sound effect, but it's copied and pasted around everywhere. Like, he does use it. The first couple times is nice, but then he just copies and pastes it all over the place. No variation. Like, sometimes he does a little bit of the cottony thing that he likes to do, but for the most part, it's just copied and pasted, and it's really kind of not super off-putting in this one. It's just kind of like you notice it when you're actually sitting down and focusing a tiny bit on it. You're like, huh, this sound effect is played the exact same way about 7 times so far in the past 2 minutes. It'd be nice if there was a bit of variation.
Well, that's a big part of this kind of genre is repetitions kind of baked into it.
Yeah.
But I will agree that the sound effects can get kind of repetitive. And this one does kind of a bit of a beat change in the second half where the percussion speeds up.
It does, but for the most part, it's pretty repetitive. It kind of repeats the chorus, if you will, a few times, and then it does the beat change and then goes back. So I think if you could get away with the repetitive sound clips if the music was a bit more varied, or if you vary the sound clips, that would help the music. You know, can't have both being super repetitive.
I understand there, and it's again, this is a lot of these songs are pretty short. Most of them don't make it over the 3-minute mark.
Yeah.
So that also helps play into it not getting too overstaying its welcome.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the next song is
5
one I'm rather fond of. This one's called Chaozu.
So I'll let you go first because I'm going to rant about this for a bit.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll say all the good things then first. Where it's got like this one comes in. It's got this electronica like sounding like harmonica. It's almost like harmonica done through a synth. Mm-hmm. And then with this really jazzy, funky melody. Mm-hmm. And I also like the how the fact that like the first part, the jazzy harmonica is like really front and center, and then it does the dropout. But at least in my mind on this one, the harmonica is still playing very clearly in the background, just a little muffled. So it's like a flipped image. Like suddenly in the background there's the harmonica, and in the foreground there's the percussion. So it's like looking at the song from a reverse perspective, which I think is pretty interesting. And then by the end, this like strumming guitar comes in, and the percussion, the harmonica kick back in. They all kind of work really together. I think this song has one of the best like progressions in it, or feels like it kind of builds off itself as the song goes along.
Yeah, I would agree. This is by far one of the most put together things. There's one thing that just absolutely kills it for me, though. The whole song is fantastic. I love the beat. The melody is amazing. But what takes it away is that singing line that he throws in. He just throws it in over and over and over again. Same intonation. You can't understand what the heck it's saying. And he always puts it into like hide a transition. And it just does not sound good. Like, if you left that out, this song would be 10 times better. It's just this, I assume it might be a sample from like the Dragon Ball theme song or something. But it's not good.
I didn't really pay much notice to the vocals there.
It really took it away from me.
Yeah, for me, I barely even noticed it, so I didn't have too much of a problem there. Plus, he had already had vocal samples in previous songs. That just kind of jumped in and then jumped out. I was kind of used to it by this point of the album.
This one felt different to me, though. The intonation of it was just so odd and not fitting with the song. It really pulled me out of the mood.
Maybe it's because
otherwise, it's a
I've
great
listened
music
to
song.
I've listened to a bit of wave music in my time,
Yeah.
and that whole kind of talking like this is actually not too uncommon in the genre. It's this very drawn out kind of a way of singing,
Yeah. I
or
mean,
like stretching the vocals.
it works well in later songs. I don't have an issue with that. It's just this specific line and the intonation is out of place in a lot of the spots he uses it because it goes up, you know. And
Yeah.
a lot of spots he throws it in is during a dying down portion. So you got half the music going down and then this going up, and then it jump cuts to something else. It really does not work, in my opinion. So, but I love the song. I just wish it was better.
Well, I see the song through the lens without the vocals, so I really like the song.
Yeah. But then,
I can understand where it might get a little annoying.
yeah. And plus, this is one of the songs I've listened to the most, so that's probably why it's been jumping out to me.
So it starts to stand out a little bit more and more. Oh, that's why you play it in the background. You don't notice the little details if you just don't pay attention to it.
Exactly. Jump into song number 6, then. East City. Home of the East City Westmen.
East City. My favorite football team.
Yes. Again, a very funky beat. Which,
yeah, this one's really high energy.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's got this. It's extremely so far the bass hasn't been that obvious in the songs, but this one it really is just moving forward.
Mm-hmm. And it's got some singing. Again, more full-bodied singing in this one, which meshes beautifully with the music. Very, almost like it was written for it. Then again, there's always this one little bit of thing that takes away from it. And this one, he loves fades. Like, he'll fade out and just bring it back full volume. And he'll just throw one in literally every 20 seconds for no reason.
There are a lot of fades in this album, yes.
And this song isn't the worst of it, but holy crap, it just builds up to... There's one song where he fades in and out, or he fades out and then jumps back in every 10 seconds. I don't understand how that seems like a good musical decision. It just doesn't sound good. And then
I think it becomes more and more obvious as you listen to the songs back to back.
Yeah, and then
because each song uses the fade, and you're like, okay, I think I'm starting to get the gist of this.
Yeah, later on he does a song without a fade, like I'll talk more about it when we get to it, but it absolutely feels like after listening to 12 songs of this, song 13, which we'll get to probably in about 20 minutes, you notice these spots where you're like, oh, he's going to fade out here, but then he doesn't, and it sounds 100 times better without the fade outs. So I don't know why. It feels like a gimmick that he learned. Like he's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to throw this in everywhere. Because again, like I said, this is my main issue with this album is he fades out every 20 seconds and then comes back. And this was only his third album, so I'm hoping this was like he learned a gimmick and used it too much, and he's matured as an artist.
Well, there's 2 more Dragonball Wave albums.
Yeah,
so
I know. I really I'm going to listen to them tonight probably. So, but that's my rant for. Hopefully, I won't rant on the fades again after that point. But they got on my nerves.
Will still be there, but
they got on my nerves so much. I will rant again when we get to the worst song, but my God, they're so bad.
I mean, the fades definitely are present on this. I think it's more obvious just with the fact that this is such a high energy song.
Mm-hmm.
When you keep like kind of pulling back, it's like it's kind of like running on a treadmill, right?
Yeah.
But I did like it. It definitely filled in that cityscape type vibe, like these like electronic chimes and the chorus. Kind of by the end of it, it gets a little frantic, which I like. It's less like kind of repetitive and more this high energy. Like I'm sitting down cruising down a cityscape, you know?
Yeah, the bass line in this one was a lot more defined too than past songs.
I think that's the most future funk influences on its sleeve in this one.
Which is actually the genre I was listening to that made me find this album. So.
Hey, well, there you go. East City Westman going for the win.
Hoo-ha.
Hoo-ha.
Jumping to song number 7 then. Scouter, in all caps. This is a very short song again, with a basic beat, as is in these short songs. Basic, keeps it to the point. half the song is kind of like these same pulsing tones with a little more plinky synth coming in halfway. It feels like a really good start of an idea, but like not the whole thing. Because it kind of builds into something that's like, all right, this is getting going, and then the song ends. And it's a very abrupt cutoff. Just kind of snips it off at the end.
Yeah, for me, it's not even not even a good start. I'm feeling about this one what you kind of felt about Medical Machine, or just like it's a sleepier of the songs, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it just doesn't do anything, right? It doesn't bring anything new or interesting to the table. Anything that's already kind of been covered with Medical Machine. This one just has some swelling synths, a little bit of chimes, and then it's done. Yeah. If you took this off the album, it'd do nothing. I didn't particularly like this album. I guess my favorite thing about it is it's only a minute and a half long, so it was over quickly. But that's not very indicative of a good song.
Yeah.
If a song can at least bring something like new to the table, something interesting, I can appreciate it. Like there's a couple songs by the end where I'm not the biggest fan, but I like that they have some new elements to them. But Scouter is by the books. It doesn't do anything, and then it ends. So.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta disagree. I feel like there was, with the plinky synth, it was starting to do something cool, but again, it was like, you were kind of like, oh yeah, what's that thing? And then, it cuts. So, it's not the strongest, but in my opinion, not the weakest.
At the very least, it leads into a much stronger song, and that's Bulma. And I like Bulma. It's got a sort of sassy harmonic synth to it, and I really like how the bass and the synth kind of dance together. The percussion's a little more pulled back, which I appreciate since some of these songs have been rather percussion loop heavy. So it kind of helps the synth and bass take front stage.
Yeah, this one had it launches straight into it with a super developed melody and a developed bass line, which hasn't really gone hand in hand so far. It's either you gotten a developed melody or you've gotten a developed bass line, but this has both. But then it fades back. This is where I started noticing the fades. It fades out 30 seconds in. And then it comes back slowly, though. So this one's acceptable. It fades out and fades back in, which feels natural. But then literally 20 seconds after this fade out, it fades out again. And then comes in full blast. So it's...
Well, I think...
That's my only complaint about this song. This one is fantastic. It's just
I think where I can forgive the fades here is that the fact is that between those two fades, it's like this really groovy synth switch up. Where these songs usually don't have a melody switch up. Usually, whenever it fades, it just does that muffled percussion switch.
Yeah.
Where it's still the same melody, it's just playing in the background. But this one actually changes it up, plays a new melody, adds a little more extra energy to it. So I'll forgive the fade just because it did something different with it.
Yeah, this one is kind of annoying with the fades, but for sure it's not as bad as later songs.
And I also like how the kind of soulful vocals in this one as well. The vocals on this album can be kind of hit or miss for me, but I think for this one it kind of adds to it.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember the vocals, so I'm not going to make uneducated comment on it, even though this is another one of the ones that I've listened to several times.
Also, fun fact, unrelated to the music. Do you know why Bulma wanted to find the Dragon Balls originally?
Oh, you know what? I actually finished watching Dragon Ball this past semester of college. I watched all 130 or some episodes.
That's a lot of episodes, wow.
A week. And it was either she wanted to be more attractive for a boyfriend or she wanted a boyfriend.
No, she wanted to wish for a boyfriend.
Yeah.
This is a dragon that could literally bring people back from the dead.
And she was gonna
wanted to use the one wish on a boyfriend.
And then that was actually where she started to fall for Yamcha too.
Yeah. Let's forget about that one.
Yeah. Yamcha's actually
There's a reason there isn't a song on this album called Yamcha.
He's actually a lot older than her. And it doesn't feel like he should be.
Yeah, well...
He's actually one of the oldest characters besides Master Roshi.
Well, welcome to Japan, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you know in the original Dragon Ball, Goku was only like 14?
Yeah.
He was like pretty old, even though he looked like he was like 7.
Wait, was he 14? No, I think he was 12 at the start. That was at the
No,
start.
he was
So
like a teenager.
I'm pretty sure it was like 12.
We'll argue about this later.
Right at the very start. Anyway. Yeah, let's get back to the actual music.
We can pontificate about Dragon Ball in our free time.
Yeah. So jump into track 9, Android 18. Now this is jumping into the Dragon Ball Z realm, where my knowledge is gone because I haven't gotten there yet.
This is where Dragon Ball Z is, and you definitely feel it, I think, in this back half of the album, where Dragon Ball Z is a lot more futuristic. It's got like these very heavy sci-fi influences, and then that's kind of reflected within this back half of the album, which I think is interesting, especially here in Android 18, where the synth takes on a lot more of like a metallic, edgy sound, where it's before it's kind of rounded out, a little more bubbly, a little more smooth. Here the synth it kind of cuts through a little bit harder.
Yeah, I wasn't paying as much attention when I was taking notes on this one because I was putting the Pink Floyd Disc 2 up on the YouTube. But it has his kicks in it. It's got the fade outs. It's got the cotton over your ears. This is another one where the singing meshes really well with the music, but it's the same kind of line repeated so many times without variation that it gets a little bit old by the end, but not too bad. It's still kind of fresh by the time you get there.
I think it's got the most obvious kind of 1-2 beat progression and the percussion out of all the songs, where it's like doom ta doom ta. But I think that kind of adds to this more. It's going for a more robotic sound.
Yeah,
it's having a more like paced beat. I think adds to it, and it kind of gets head bobbing since this synth is pretty excellent.
Yeah.
Also, I think this is the most egregious. Like, I don't mind the fade outs as much, but I don't really care for the glitchy effects that the album does. I'm sure you notice every now and then where it kind of like stutters on purpose.
I think I noticed it once, but I didn't really pay that much mind. I'll have to listen to it again. I didn't really notice it that many times.
It's done several times on this song, with like the vocals and the guitar.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, actually, I like that. It was an interesting effect.
Yeah, it had done it a couple times already, but for me, it kind of breaks up the flow of the song, especially with one with such a like even pacing.
Yeah.
So I didn't care for it, but I guess it also adds to like the robot theme. So
yeah, it's Android.
At least it's thematic.
It's got to be robotic.
It is an android, or is she a cyborg?
Yeah, she's technically a cyborg.
Whatever, same difference.
Yeah. But jump into track 10, Kame House, spelled in all caps. This one has a really interesting melodic hook, in my opinion, but it doesn't get much further than the melodic hook.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same realm of. It starts off with this really funky beat with like these brassy interruptions, but then it doesn't really do anything with it, I felt.
Yeah, it just repeats it over and over until the song's over.
Which is a shame because it has this strong bass.
Yeah.
And you feel like it's going to build up to something, but then it just kind of ends. Which especially is sad since this is the longest song in the album or almost longest at 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Tied pretty much with Training Day. But where Training Day felt like it had a bit of a progression, it had some new ideas as it went along, this one just kind of continued.
Yeah.
for 3.5 minutes.
You were talking about Wave being very repetitive, but this is literally the same 8 bars repeated for 3 minutes.
This is 2 Wave.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's an island house, right?
Yeah. Sure, we'll go with that. It was a melodic choice instead of not having any other ideas to build off of.
Okay, it's probably that one.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because it brings back the brass.
Yeah.
Which is really nice on Kid Goku, but doesn't really go anywhere with it.
Yeah. Certainly sad.
Certainly.
Jump into track 11 then. The hyperactive rhyme chamber.
No, the hyperbolic time chamber.
My bad. It's another short one. This one focuses a lot more heavily on the bass and beat without much else to offer. I really do like how the violins kick in near the end.
Mm.
Gives a very different depth to the song. I really wish he had done something with that sooner, because he hasn't. He's kind of had them in the background, but this is kind of where they're featured a bit more front and center alongside the melody. And it would have done so much more for this song if they were put in right at the start instead of right near the end.
Yeah, I definitely think it's my favorite of like the three kind of laid back songs on this album,
Yeah.
with Medical Machine and Scouter, where it has this idea of kind of having more relaxing, this more relaxing tone, a slower percussion, some weird occasional like laser noises. But I also like how the synth on this kind of almost had like a flute-like quality.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a pretty nice song.
Yeah, and that goes along with the violin pretty nicely.
Yeah, and then next up would be Future Trunks, track 12.
Yeah, it's a song.
Yeah, I noticed a couple of these songs on the last half they don't have as many ideas.
Yeah, they're kind of it's kind of disappointing that it starts so strong and ends so lackluster.
Oh, this one kind of ends with a nice guitar solo, which
Yeah,
I appreciate.
not this one specifically, but I like how it starts. It sounds like you're in a grocery store. It does not so much the cotton, just kind of the far away, which gives that very music playing from the grocery store ceiling vibe.
Like you're in the bathroom of a grocery store. Yeah.
But I have not to be deterred by using the same vocal line over and over again with no variation in Chiaotzu, he proceeds to do it again. It's just as annoying and can be picked up even when listening to the album in the background. It happens every 10 seconds in this song. This one is by far the worst one for the repetitive vocals that sound out of place. Every 10 seconds he throws it in.
And it does kind of stick out. I think the thing with the vocals, it kind of reminds you it's on a loop.
Yeah.
Or if you're not paying attention, you're like, it kind of continues to the song, but here, like, oh yeah, that's where it loops.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's just he needs to break away from throwing in this kind of lazily edited. I wouldn't say lazily edited, but this edited vocal line that doesn't sound like it fits with the music. You know,
fits.
Yeah, that's the style he's going for.
For better or for worse, he sticks to it for the whole album.
Yeah, he's thematically consistent at least.
And then the next song we get on to, song number 13, is Snake Way.
This one is a strong song.
I liked it. I mean, I think it's not as strong as some of the other songs, but I do like the it's got like this glockenspiel vibe with like some windpipe, which I really appreciate. There's even a hint of saxophone in there.
Yeah.
A little bit of saxophone, which I really wish he had used more on this album.
Yeah, this is the song I was talking about where he avoids the fades. There's a couple spots, I don't know if you noticed, Cooper, but there was a couple spots you were like, oh, he's totally going to fade out right here. And then he didn't, and it was the best surprise of my life. Or I guess of the last...
The best one ever.
The best surprise of the last 2 hours.
Okay.
But right off the bat, it's a very different beat. It gives more the impression of a smooth jazz with some soft piano beats and a soaring guitar line before chopping all of that out and putting some distant, indiscernible vocals. And I listened to a ton of smooth jazz, so I was immediately a big fan of this song. And he did do one cut, I will say, but it was not a fade cut. It was a jump out, jump back in, which was really nice in the song.
Technically not a fade.
Yeah, so it was a jump out, jump back in, and it sounds so good without the fades, in my opinion. But you could, my least favorite part was like there were points you were like, this is where you would put a fade, just after listening to the other 12 songs in quick succession. So
I'm starting to think you don't like the fade, Sam.
I really don't. There's got to be something I rant about every week, I guess.
So fades this one.
Yeah.
Oh, we should fade out this episode.
God no.
Aw.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. And I think it's probably because of how much smooth jazz I listen to that I could really pick up on those inspirations. And I like smooth jazz, so I like this song.
Oh man. So yeah, I think it's definitely I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I think it hits all the right notes for a good Wave song.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Snake Road because it's a road in heaven that you can run all the way to God towards. But if you get tired, you fall off and go to hell.
Yeah, I haven't seen DBZ, so I can't comment on that.
Sorry, spoilers.
I mean, I've seen DBZ abridged, but who hasn't?
So, I don't know. That's just a funny idea to me.
Jumping into track 14, then.
Second to last song is One
Wish.
Wish. And I liked this one.
Yeah.
It had a this is like a very wistful, ethereal song with like this almost childlike quality, like a nursery rhyme type thing. And I think this and what was it? Hyperbolic Time Chamber is where the violins really take center stage, and I like that too.
See, in this one, I was getting the feel of an underwater Mario level music. You know, that's what
which are also ethereal and wistful.
Yeah, but it sounded, that instrument sounded very similar to that. He brings back the DBZ or DB or DBZ sound effects, and it's a shorter one, but it's the most developed short one in my opinion. It has more complex melody. It's got a complex bass line. It brings the violins in that complement the main vocals in quotation marks. It's just an all-around well-developed short song, and it doesn't overstay its welcome or anything. You know, it's just a good song.
Yeah, I think it's a nice. These last two songs are kind of a cleanser.
Yeah,
or they kind of wind down. One could say it's like one big fade to the end of the album.
Oh God, yeah, you could.
That does take us to our last and final song, Kaioken, which is actually kind of acoustic.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
And this one specifically had a lead-in to the melodic line, which he really has not done yet.
Yeah, not a lot of lead-ins.
Yeah. So it feels like it changes style a couple of times. It starts with this lead-in to the melody, and then it kind of jumps. And then it ends on a really weird bass kind of thing.
It's kind of got this like funky bass that goes along.
Yeah, but I'm talking like very end of the song. It jumps styles completely to something else, and then just cuts.
Well, it ends on that bass riff that goes like dun 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 dun, but it's like a transitionary bass. But yeah, I know what you mean. It just kind of ends the album on this weird bass riff.
I was like, you didn't use that riff anywhere in the song. What was that? So it ends interestingly for sure.
Too bad the wall didn't end like that.
Yeah.
An hour and a half of music and just like another brick in the wall. But about wow. That one just ends.
Yeah. That would have made it interesting for sure. I'm not sure it would have made it to the top of the charts like that.
Yeah, no, but that's how the album ends, for better or for worse.
Oh,
and I think it's a fairly strong album overall.
Yeah. You want to jump into do you want to do favorite and least favorite songs first before we do ratings?
Yeah, let's start with that.
So go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I'll start with mine. So I think if I had to choose two favorite, my first would probably be Chaozu.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have as much. I didn't really notice the vocals as much as you did, so that really helped to enhance my enjoyment of it. But I think it's kind of like it's the best example of a lot of things on this album. It's got funky melodic electronics, nice guitar work and bass, and then also I think it has the best kind of muffled fade out type scenario in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of helps that it's kind of short and sweet, you know, where it gets the idea across and then lets you go. Short and sweet, just like Chaozu. How about that? And then I also really liked Balma, just because it had these the guitar chords and this kind of sassy synth. I really liked how the bass and the synth kind of danced. I thought it led to a very interesting melody. And then in terms of least favorite, I'd probably go with, out of all of them, probably Scouter. Just because I didn't feel like it really did too much new. Probably Scouter or maybe Kame House. with how these songs felt a little shoehorned in, a little by the numbers.
Yeah.
Which without really doing anything new. Which I think in this kind of album where you don't want to start noticing the repetition, that doesn't really help to add those in.
Yeah.
You could have trimmed that fat.
Yeah. So for me, I have kind of two different modes of listening to this. So if I was doing the, like I was going for a walk yesterday, and I was listening to the album, Chaozu and Bulma top of the list. Favorites. Bulma above Chaozu. Chaozu would be up there, but even with walking, I could still kind of pick up on the repetitive, weird audio that he was throwing in there. But when I'm actually sitting down and listening to it, Snake Way is actually kind of comes out on top for me, just because of the complexity and the lack of the fade cuts and all that stuff. But if you're just listening to it in the background, you're not going to notice that. So then those other two songs are a bit stronger, and you can't really pick up on the complexity of Snake Way. And then for least favorite, I'm going to have to go with probably Medical Machine. Like I was ragging on it earlier, doesn't really make much of a statement, just kind of there. And second would be Kame House, like we were saying. Got a good beat, interesting hook, but it doesn't really go anywhere. So Medical Machine is probably weaker than Kame House, I'd say, but they're both a little bit weaker in terms of the entirety of the album.
Kame House just has so much wasted potential. Yeah. It makes me kind of sad.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I feel about this entire album in general, moving into the ratings of everything. There's our rating system: showroom, like new, fixer upper, used rental, and scrapyard. Kind of the fancy 1 through 5 system. But this whole album kind of feels like it's almost there, It's got that potential. It's on the edge of being really good. It just needs a little bit more development. Which is why I was really excited when I saw that there were 2 other albums, and this was just his third, so I'm really hoping he matured as an artist. And
yeah, I'm excited to listen to those as well.
Yeah, especially because on my first listen, this was a great album. You just start to notice the issues after a couple of listens and on closer inspection. So, overall, I'd say I have to give it a fixer-upper. Like I said, it's got a lot of potential. Needs to be fixed up a little bit, though, which is, I'm looking forward to our reviews of Dragonball Wave 2 and Dragonball Wave 3.
It's a 3-week one, baby. It actually isn't.
We're not doing that for a while now.
You're right. We should split Dragonball Wave 2 into a 2-week one.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit before we get to those. But, yeah, I think I really enjoyed the album. I want it to be better. All the complaints I have are out of love. There's nothing I'm upset about at all. So, well, I'm upset about the fades, but I'm upset because I want it to be better, not because I think it's bad music making. It's just it feels like a new artist getting into it, kind of,
Yeah, and I think I'm mostly in agreement with you. I don't think the word wasted potential is the right way to describe it. I'd say more like room to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where you see what he's going for. Feel like it could have used a little more time in the oven.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Some of the songs to introduce new ideas, or just to maybe cut some of the more annoying aspects of it. Because when it's good, it's really good.
Yeah.
The strong songs on this album, Jiaozu, Bulma, Kid Goku, really get you really helps you buy into the repetitiveness and the synth of it. The less ones kind of makes you feel, okay, I've heard this, I'm a little tired of this.
Yeah.
Let's see what else and get to the end of this album. So there's some highs and some lows. So I think I probably agree with you. It's definitely a fixer-upper. Almost teetering into like new. Almost reaching that next rank, but not quite there.
Sorry, I had to type in your rating since we hadn't talked about this beforehand.
Oh, no, that's okay. So hopefully, I'm interested to see what his later work is like. Just just to see if he matured as an artist.
Yeah,
Because I will be profoundly disappointed if he doesn't get better past this.
yeah, he's got 14 albums, so maybe we'll come back to him in the future. I'm certainly liking his early stuff, so hopefully he gets better.
14 albums in, what, the span of 4 years?
Yeah, the first one was released in 2014, so
Whew.
it's been a while. But if it probably isn't his full-time job. He's just kind of doing it on the side. So
Yeah, that's true. Well, hopefully, we'll have to keep an eye on Maitro.
And also check out his other stuff to make sure he didn't get worse.
that would disappoint me, since I see a lot of potential in this one. But yeah, I think that's kind of tackled I think we're getting a nice mix of genres here on the Audio Shop.
Yeah. And next week we'll go back to some classic rock again, and we'll have a guest speaker.
Ooh, a guest speaker.
Fancy.
A first time on the Audio Shop podcast.
Yeah.
Who will it be? David Bowie?
He's dead.
Coldplay?
The entirety of Coldplay.
No, Mr. Coldplay.
Mr. Coldplay. My neighbor down the street. Yeah. But I'll have to do a lot of audio stuff for that, since the setup right now is having Cooper come through my desktop and editing him from there. So if 2 people are coming through the desktop, it's going to be a bit of an issue.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. But
yeah, please tune in next week for that one, for another taste of classic rock.
Yeah, and hopefully Cooper will actually tweet this time, so you'll have a notification of what we're listening to and when we're going live.
Yeah, we'll really have to get rid of our social media guy.
Yeah, maybe I should have taken care of Twitter, since I actually remember every week.
Well, I'll probably do it this week.
Probably.
Hey, well
We'll
thank
see.
you again for listening.
Yeah, we'll catch you again next time.
Hey, catch you later.
See ya, shoppies.
Yeah, there it is.
Goodbye.